My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 76 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. But before I do, let's talk about the newest analyst at We Want Picks. So if you're new here, it's not just me. It's me, Jacob, then we have Artem, and now we have the Pick Doctor. This is going to sound absurd. I promise you, every single bit of this is very, very real. So we had a nuclear physicist reach out to us a couple of months ago saying, hey, I was put onto your content, love what you guys are doing. I am a nuclear physicist. I have developed this tool that helps build DraftKings lineups for UFC. I actually ignored that email for about a week or two because I'm like, I know my audience. There's not a whole bunch of nuclear physicists hanging out in that crew. But I said, you know what, let me reach out. Reached out. We had a couple of Google Meet calls. And we walked through it. I was like, oh my God, this is the real deal. And I said, tell you what, before we do this DraftKings, I don't want to call it an optimizer, whatever that is, can you use that same logic, that same artificial intelligence, and build something that picks fight winners? And he said, yes, let me figure it out. He built a neural network trained artificial intelligence tool that picks fights. It brings in all sorts of data, makes a decision. This person's going to win the fight. And you want to see what it did at UFC Jacksonville? It crushed is what it did at UFC Jacksonville. There were 13 fights. One was a no contest. So there were only actually 12 fights that were competed. And this thing, Pick GPT, picked 11 of them correctly. The only one it got wrong was the Trevor Peek Chepe Mariscal fight. And guess what? Chepe Mariscal has never competed in the UFC. It had no data. So the only fight it picked wrong was the only fight it had no data. We took all of the picks before the fights, obviously, logged them in Tapology, and it was the second in the world, in the entire world, the tens of thousands of people that logged their picks on Tapology. The artificial intelligence developed by our pick doctor, that is at WeWantPicks.com, is second in the world, and it did so not having any data on one single fighter. We took every one of those picks and we logged bets before the fights happened. We logged bets. We said, let's put $100 on every single fight winner that this thing is saying. And here are your results. $1,083 in net profit, 83% net profit. That includes the loss. It's actually 90-something% net profit. So 10.83 units in money line bets. And all we did, well, all I did, the nuclear physicist developed this whole thing. All I did was say, tell me who it thinks is going to win. We took that, we put it into Tapology, it tracked all of it, crushed. Took that, put the bets on Bet MMA Tips, crushed. And this is in beta, but if you want to follow its journey, premium members can do so now. Just under analysts, you're going to see Pick Doctor, and you can follow the journey. Read the articles. The Pick Doctor is writing articles, walking you through how it works, what he's adding, how he's training the AI. This is incredible stuff. This could absolutely be the future of all of this, but right off the jump, it is immediately the best thing on the planet picking fights, period. End of story. It is beta. Very, very, if you don't know what beta means, that means it's in the testing phase. This is not fully fleshed. It doesn't even have all the data points yet. It doesn't even have grappling stats yet. It did this with striking and biometrics. Once that grappling is added and some other components, we'll see where this thing goes. But if you want to follow the journey, premium members can now at WeWantPicks.com. Just click on analysts. You're going to see me, Artem, Jacob, and now the Pick Doctor. Follow the journey. Read the articles. The article is actually incredible. Read those, follow along. It has its own Twitter. Follow that as well. Premium members get far more than just the AI journey. You're also going to get the line movement tracker. First of all, it's $10 a month for premium membership. It's getting ridiculous at this point. It's only $10 a month, and we just added this thing. Anyway, the line movement tracker this week, very interesting. We have zero fighters, no fighters started as an underdog and have flipped to a favorite or vice versa. We almost had one with Romanov, but that line has rebounded. But we do have 4 fighters that have had 20% movement. Mostly lines got really wide or lines tightened quite a bit. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, analytics, and everything else that you need to make your own picks, make your own decisions, do your own research. All of it is available for premium members right now, this minute, at WeWantPicks.com. Just click become a member. And we added courses. We're here to teach. It's not just the picks, the bets, now the AI. It's everything. We have added new DraftKings courses. We're adding betting courses. We're adding other stuff as well. There's a lot of people that are new here, new to this space. Betting was just legalized in your state. Daily fantasy was just legalized in your state. And you just want a baseline. How does this work? What does this mean? Well, our very first course is a DraftKings Fantasy Baseline. Check it out. It's going to walk you through exactly what it is, how to do it, and how all of that works, so you can be armed with a little more information to have even more fun watching these fights, competing, playing with these apps, and doing stuff like that. And I'll send you $50. We pay out thousands of dollars a week. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. You need to use our link. This is affiliate marketing. You use our link. They say, hey, thanks, guys. Here's a couple of bucks. We take some of that money. We give it right back to you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We will send you $50. Let's go ahead and break down this card. There's only 12 fights and a lot of short notice replacements. I think we have 5 short notice replacements on this card, and here's one of them. This fight order is all out of whack. There's no way this is the actual fight order. But for now, opening up the UFC Vegas 76 fight card is Joanderson Brito taking on short notice UFC newcomer Westin Wilson. Joanderson Brito is fast. He's athletic. He's got solid top pressure, a wild array of submissions. His striking isn't very technical, but he's going to come forward. He is going to throw bombs. Big, wide punches with heavy kicks. No regard for what comes back his way. And even though he is comfortable striking, he's going to look to get it to the ground, and he's going to work from there. He averages almost 4 takedowns per fight, but he can be taken down if you pressure him. He is coming off that dominant win over Lucas Alexandr. Joanderson Brito is a bad, bad man. He's taking on Westin Wilson. He is making his UFC debut. He is doing it on short notice, and he's doing it against the killer. But unlike some of these other short notice debuts, he has a ton of experience. He has a karate style, striking stance with low hands. He has a lot of in and out movement. He can be a bit too hesitant and hittable, but when he hits, his flow is really, really nice. He likes to rush in, throw heavy. He's very tall for the weight class, and he uses his length well on the ground. So he's going to try to use those long guy submissions, wrap you up, and work from there. He does not have the best wrestling, but he is dangerous on the ground, and he's always looking to wrap something up. And Westin has incredibly high fight IQ. This is a guy who uses his intelligence well in fights, right? He's not the typical faster, stronger, more athletic guy in the fights, but he's almost always the smarter guy, and you can count on him to make the right decisions and do the right things. But I don't think that matters here. At a certain point, bigger, faster, stronger does matter. Joanderson Brito is just an absolute savage. And this is a really tough first fight in the UFC for Westin Wilson. I think Joanderson Brito wins this fight. I think he wins inside the distance. We don't have prop bets yet. We don't even have money line bets yet on this fight. But as soon as we do, if Joanderson Brito is anything under minus 400, he will be parlayed. If he's over that, I'm going to wait for the Joanderson Brito by finish prop bets to drop, because, and anybody who watches this knows that I'm very conservative when it comes to bets. It's mostly money line, a lot of those refundable bets. I'm very, very confident Joanderson Brito is going to win and win inside the distance. Then we have Yana Santos taking on Karol Rosa. Yana Santos, formerly Yana Kutateladze. She married Thiago Santos, giant fighter in the PFL that just failed the drug test. They're married, so her last name changed. If you're doing your own research, you're going to have to look up Kutateladze as well. Anyway, she is a high-volume striker who lands about 4 significant strikes per minute. She doesn't really have a ton of power, but she has plenty of output, and she mixes things up well. She's got nice kicks. She uses them to maintain distance. She has offensive wrestling as well, which we have seen her lean on in the past, but it does come with a very low 53% accuracy and an even lower 45% defense. She's coming off a decision loss to Holly Holm where she was taken down 4 times. She's taking on Karol Rosa. Karol Rosa is also a pretty busy striker. She has really, really nice volume at almost 6 significant strikes landed per minute and is willing to trade. She is a decision fighter. She has solid takedown offense and defense. She has 10 takedowns in 7 UFC fights and a solid 68% takedown defense. She's coming off the very close decision to Norma Dumont where she had a knockdown, but she gave up a takedown and she ultimately lost that fight because of cage control. She couldn't get off the cage, and that cost her win bonus. I think this is a pretty straightforward spot for Karol, right? I think Yana's going to be the better striker in technique, but Karol's going to be too busy, and she's going to threaten the takedowns too often for Yana to ever hit her rhythm. I see another Karol Rosa decision. It likely looks like, her win against Lena Landsberg if you go back and watch that, but without the knockdown. We're going to see what happens with this 2.5 line. I think I'm going to like the over 2.5 here when that drops, and what that, it's going to be juiced, but we'll see what that looks like. Then we have Guram Kutateladze taking on Elves Brener. Guram Kutateladze. There's no Kutateladze. There's Guram is a very solid striker. He has incredible kicks. He pressures forward. He also is a submission threat as well. When he gets taken down, he's so active on the ground that his opponents just don't have a chance to settle in, and they can't rack up any meaningful control time. On his feet, he has legit power, speed, and professional kickboxing experience. He only has 2 fights in the UFC, but they're both close split decisions. One was that win over Gamrot where he showed up on short notice, and the other was that loss to Demir. Both of them were razor thin, and he defended a combined 17 takedowns from a couple of takedown killers. Anyways, taking on Elves Brener. Elves Brener is a grappler. He knows what he needs to do to win. He has a loose striking style where he's basically just buying time and avoiding being hit. His goal is always to get you against the cage so he can work it to the ground. He's going to throw bombs in the pocket, and he is athletic enough to mix in kicks and some spinning techniques, but you can tell he's not a striker. He literally will turn his head away when strikes start coming at him. He's backing up. He never really looks comfortable. However, if he gets it to the ground, he is very dangerous. He's coming off that short notice decision win over Zubaira. If you remember, everybody thought Zubaira was a lock in that fight. He's coming off that short notice decision win where he needed more volume, but that was sort of a gift of a decision. This is definitely a Guram spot. I got to go Guram all the way here. His striking is going to be light years ahead. His takedown defense is some of the best in the division, and I don't see any way that Elves wins this fight. Right now, Guram is like minus 400, minus 500. The line is all over the place on different books. Not every book has caught up just yet, and that still feels like a discount. I feel like this line should be what Arman Sarukian's was a few weeks ago, the minus 1100s, because Guram, I don't see him getting taken down, and even if he does, I don't see him getting submitted, which means they're going to be striking, and that is not a good night for Elves Brener. Then we have Alexandr Romanov taking on Blagoy Ivanov. And listen, everything I'm about to say about Alexandr Romanov is from 2022, because the 2023 version of him is swimming with his shirt on, staying a little too long at the Golden Corral. The version we saw him fight this year was terrible. So let's assume that was a one-off, and we're going to break him down from every fight before that absolute disaster of a fight back in March. He's a fantastic high-caliber wrestler. He's a massive person. He's got great speed, great power. He uses that to take you down and pound on you. He just comes charging forward with crazy power and is so athletic and fast for his size that it is just hard to stop him. For years, Alexandr was him. He was him. Then he lost that close decision to Marcin by Tybura because he gassed in the first round, but that was at elevation. Then he put on the whole narrative was, I got to be bigger, strong. He got fat as hell, was sloppy as shit, ate way too much Burger King, and then he fought Alexander Volkov, where he literally landed 0 punches. He didn't, nothing. Landed 0 punches, and he missed 5 takedowns. It was one of the worst. I've never seen a fall from grace like that. But anyway, that was Alexandr Romanov's last fight. He is fighting Blagoy Ivanov. He is a heavyweight striker. He has an iron chin and a willingness to trade. There are literally highlight reels online dedicated only to Blagoy getting blasted in the face and nothing happening. His chin is like, it's ridiculous what this guy's chin can do. He took the best shots that Derek Lewis could offer, Augusto Sakai, Tai Tuivasa, and Junior Dos Santos could throw at him, and he never went down. He has a combat sambo background, right? He actually beat Fedor Emelianenko in combat sambo. If you don't know who that is, well, I'm not going to explain it. He's a talented guy. He's got solid takedown defense, okay power in his hands, and he does have a willingness to survive. Go look up his story. This dude, that hole in his chest, the fact that he's still alive is wild. Go watch that story online as well. He's coming off a loss to himself, to Marcin Tybura, where it was a relatively close fight until he gave up a takedown and a full round of control. This fight is impossible to predict because we don't know what Romanov is going to look like. I have no idea if he's going to be in shape, if he's actually going to want to fight. This guy went from killer to cat in one single fight. I have never seen somebody in MMA fall so far from grace, without drugs, without an injury, just from one fight to the other. Just holy crap, what happened to this guy? Right now, the pick is going to be Ivanov. The pick is going to be Blagoy Ivanov because Alexandr Romanov's last 2 fights, he had 1 round of cardio in the fight where he didn't look like a slob. And then the next fight, he looked like a slob and had nothing. He had negative 2 rounds of cardio. So I got to go with Blagoy here. The dude has an iron chin. You're not going to get him out of there. And if Romanov can't just immediately get a takedown, what the hell's going on here? So right now, without seeing weigh-ins, right? I don't know what day you're watching this, but there's a newer video than this, I promise. Right now, without seeing weigh-ins, I got to go with Blagoy Ivanov. If we get the weigh-ins and Alexandr Romanov looked like he looked a couple of fights ago, looks like he's actually in shape, that was a one-off, whatever it is, then Romanov is going to be the way to go. Of course. How could we not? The guy's a beast. He's a killer. He's athletic. The takedowns. But if he looks anything like he looked in the Alexander Volkov fight, all in on Blagoy Ivanov. Right now, he's sitting at plus 125. I almost hit it. The only reason I didn't is because I feel like I'm going to place that bet, and then Romanov's going to show up on the scale looking like a beast. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for weigh-ins. If for some reason this line goes wild and Blagoy is a plus 150, 160, 170, yeah, then I will just blindly forget the weigh-ins. But for now, I am going to wait for the weigh-ins. If you're a premium member, make sure your alerts are on because I literally will be watching the weigh-ins. I'm going to have Bet Online on one screen. I'm going to have my bet in there ready to go. And as soon as Romanov walks out, if he's jacked, I'm closing that browser. If he's not jacked and he's a slob, boom, that bet's getting placed. And as soon as I place it, you will get an alert through Discord to your phone saying we hit this bet, we placed this bet, and it's instant. So if you're a premium member, make sure your Discord is linked and you have your alerts turned on. If you're not a premium member, it's $10 a month, and you're going to get everything you could ever imagine for $10 a month. WeOwnPicks.com, just click Become a Member. Then we have the return of Kevin Lee, and he's taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov. Kevin Lee, if you guys have TikTok, and you know Keith Lee, the guy that eats the food and whatever, the Keith Lee effect, right? He's struggling restaurants say, please try my stuff. And then he tries it, and then they're flooded, and the rich, everybody's happy. This is his brother. Kevin Lee was the famous one. Now Keith Lee's the famous one. Dude has like 10 million followers. Good Morning America, the whole thing. Anyway, I just found that out this morning, which is why I'm telling you. Kevin Lee is back in the UFC, and he's taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov, which is a really rough welcome home. But Kevin Lee left the UFC about 2 years ago. He was plagued with injuries, like he was around forever, beat some of the best, lost to some of the best, left the UFC, fought Diego Sanchez in Khabib Nurmagomedov's regional show. He beat Diego, but beating Diego. My daughter fell down the stairs, accidentally bumped into Diego Sanchez, and he was done. So yeah, Kevin Lee coming off a win over Diego Sanchez, but I don't know what that actually means. But Kevin Lee's always been sort of a solid talent, a pretty fun guy to watch. Solid technique-wise, he is a grappler. He has just okay striking, but his average almost 4 takedowns per fight, and he has 46 takedowns in his UFC career. He has fought absolutely everybody in the division. He's got wins over Gregor Gillespie, beast of a wrestler. Edson Barboza, we know how good he is. Michael Chiesa, so he's got wins over some very quality people. He's got losses to some of them as well, but that comes with the territory of fighting everybody over 10 years. He's taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov. He's a wrestler. He has heavy hands. He has a willingness to strike. He's constantly pressuring forward, throwing big 1-2s, and then just bending over, grabbing legs, and working in takedowns. When he gets on top, he pounds away. He's looking for a TKO more than he is a submission, and he's coming off that heavy wrestling win over Brian Battle, where he had 7 takedowns and 14 minutes of control time in that fight. This has to be a Rinat pick for me. Kevin Lee is a gamer. Been around forever, has fought everybody, but Rinat's offensive wrestling is just on another level. His cardio is insane. He does have some power in his hands. Kevin Lee's only real chance here is to come forward, throw bombs, initiate his own takedowns, but I don't see him taking down Rinat. So likely Kevin Lee's going to get taken down instantly if he comes forward a little too fast. So I'm Rinat all the way. The odds are now down to minus 190. He opened at like minus 260. So money is coming in on Kevin Lee. Keep an eye on the line. Use the line movement tracker. Premium members, just click on Tools, Line Movement Tracker. Keep an eye on that line, and if it tightens to a point that you're comfortable with, I personally think Rinat, I'm shocked the odds are close at all. I think Rinat absolutely gets this done. Jacob feels otherwise. I texted him. I said, dude, Renat's going to, and he's like, oh, Kevin Lee's good. I like you. Yeah, but we heard what he said about Amanda Hebas. So then we have Ivana Petrovic taking on Luana Carolina. Ivana Petrovic is a well-rounded fighter. She has busy striking, but she's mostly a grappler. She's got solid wrestling, heavy pressure in BJJ. She's going to work you against the cage, drag you to the ground, and immediately start working for submissions. She's only 6-0 in MMA. She is relatively untested, but she's got a good team around her, and she's doing all the right things. She's taking on Luana Carolina. Luana Carolina is a striker. She's got solid takedown defense. Not the most technical woman in the division, but she is fantastic in the clinch. Great knees and elbows. She's got a Muay Thai style, the way she's going to clinch you up, throw those knees, throw those elbows, but a very normal stance, meaning she doesn't have this high Muay Thai guard stance. So she's very solid with takedown defense at 78%. And when she does get a takedown on her own, she's busy and starts working for submissions. She's coming off that razor-thin decision loss to Joanne Wood just a few months ago. Very clear path to victory here for Ivana. She's a grappler. She can get her grappling going, take down who may be the much better striker. She's going to be the much better grappler overall in this matchup, and she should be big enough to just bully here. But Luana's got solid takedown defense. She's going to make Ivana work. These 2-1 odds, Ivana is a 2-1 favorite. These 2-1 odds on a UFC debut with only 6 fights, that is way too wide for me. I'm not going to be touching that at all. But Ivana should be able to drag Luana to the ground and either submit her or just grind out a decision. You're going to see a women's fight. You're going to be tempted to do the over 2.5 here, but let's stay away from that because this could definitely end and finish in either direction. So this is just a watch and see if Ivana is actually that good or what's going on here. But I'm going to leave the round props and everything else alone on this fight. And then we have another UFC debut. This card is riddled with them. We have Nursulton Ruziboev stepping up on short notice to take on Brunno Ferreira. Nursulton stepping up on short notice, UFC debut, but all the experience in the world. He has 44 fights. 32 of them are wins by finish. He is a wrestling and grappling beast who's going to get you to the ground any way that he needs to. He'll shoot doubles. He'll catch kicks. Literally any opportunity he has, he's going to use that, get you to the ground. And on the ground, he's very aggressive, always transitioning, always looking for a finish. He has fantastic BJJ, but his control is not the best. When he's standing, he's a patient striker, no real power. He's not an actual threat on his feet, but he is a threat to wrestle, to grapple, to get you to the ground. He's taking on Brunno Ferreira. Brunno Ferreira, stupid powerful striker. He's light on his feet, constantly mixing up his attacks. He bounces on his toes, and that really helps him come in and out of the pocket really well. He has incredible spinning techniques, which is really bizarre for somebody like as jacked and stout as he is, and he has all finishes on his record. 10-0. 10 finishes. He's not reckless. He doesn't come out just flailing. He actually can be low volume because he's waiting for his spots. He's looking to be patient, and then he'll attack. He can grapple as well. He's got powerful takedowns, slick BJJ, but he is definitely a striker and only uses his grappling if he's in trouble or if his opponents initiate it. He's coming off that knockout win over Gregor Rodriguez. He was a big-time underdog. Big Papa Bo picked him to win. I feel good about that. I'm still riding that. But this one is a much harder fight to pick because Ruziboev is a very, very, very live underdog here. We know Brunno has insane power, but we don't yet know what he has for takedown defense. If he can't defend the takedowns early, he's going to be on his back the entire fight. Brunno will still be the pick, but like by this much because he does have insane power. Every fight starts standing. Nursulton has to get close, has to get it to the ground. He is stepping up on short notice, but that almost means nothing. Look what happened at UFC Jacksonville. I think all the short notice fighters won. All of them. So this is an insanely tough pick. I'm going to monitor this line closely because although Brunno is like, he's the pick by this much, I may flip that. I may do a little more research, just keep my eye on this because a wrestling guy like Nursulton, if Bruno's going to come, bomb away, not get that, now he's defending takedowns, he may gas, he may slow down. We don't know what his takedown defense is going to be. Like, there's a lot of questions here, and a lot of them are going to get answered. I would probably avoid betting on this fight entirely, but if the market just dictates that Nursulton is a massive underdog, I may go that side with a bet or two because, I mean, this dude can be very, very good. I don't want to say he's Chimaev because he's not that good of a wrestler, but same vibes of, yeah, let me strike with you. I'll take you down whenever I want to kind of vibe. So let's take a look. This is a super, super close fight, but we'll take a look at those lines, how they're moving, watch that trend. And if Nursulton dips like even more, I may go ahead and throw something on him there. Then we have Benoit Saint-Denis and taking on Ismael Bonfim. If you remember, the Bonfim brothers showed up and put on a wild performance between the two of them a couple of pay-per-views ago. And now he's back and he's taking on a killer. Benoit Saint-Denis is very, very good. He's a great wrestler, really well-timed shots, a ton of pressure on top. I love his wrestling because of he actually lowers his level and shoots takedowns, not just hold you against the cage and try to do a trip and like that nonsense. He's really going to actually shoot takedowns, and then he'll work in submissions well. He has a ton of power in his feet, which he brings with him down to the ground, but he can be hittable himself, and he has a very negative, super negative striking differential of 4-6. He is coming off that KO win over Gabriel Miranda, though, where it did take him a minute to wake up and sort of get the juices flowing, but once he settled in, he knocked that dude down 3 times and had a takedown before getting him out of there. Taking on Ismael Bonfim. This guy is the real deal. He's a wild striker, very real power, no regard for straight punches at all. Everything is just looping bombs. He comes forward, he throws every single punch as if he is throwing a baseball. He's going to mix in flying knees, the occasional takedown. When he takes his time, he can be accurate, powerful, and have some solid takedown defense. He actually is a high-level boxer. He has boxing experience before MMA, high-level BJJ as well, and he's coming off that knockout win over Terrence McKinney where he was controlled, meaning Terrence didn't control him. He was controlled as in he was measured, he took his time. He had takedowns, takedown defense, and very heavy hands. It was one of the best debuts we have ever seen. He looked unbelievable in that debut. The pick here is going to be Bonfim because of his incredible power. And Saint-Denis gets hit. But I advise all of you to be very, very careful here because, yes, Bonfim looked like a killer in his last fight, but we still don't know exactly how good he is or is not. There are some questions, right? We just need to see a couple more fights to have those questions answered. We don't know what will happen if Saint-Denis gets a few of his own takedowns or what his cardio is going to look like late. He probably wins this fight. This is not an easy build-up fight. I am surprised the UFC didn't give him, here's another guy here's a highlight guy. Get your highlight. Let's turn the brothers. We'll put them on the same card. Here's a couple of cans. Crush those cans. They said, no, here's Benoit Saint-Denis. Good luck. I'm very surprised. The UFC marketing machine usually crushes building these prospects, and we'll see. I think Ismael wins. Bonfim is the pick. I don't want my waning here to make you think he's not, but I would say sort of a low confidence pick here just because of not Bonfim's talent, but how good Benoit Saint-Denis actually is. Then we got Max Griffin taking on another prospect here. Max Griffin taking on Michael Morales. Max Griffin is a powerful striker. He's got some incredible knockouts on his record, but he's not just a striker. He's a very solid grappler as well. He averages almost 2 takedowns per fight. He took down Alex Morono 4 times in a loss, Elim Imedov 6 times in a win, and most recently, Tim Means 3 times in that fight. And that was an incredible win for him because he dropped him, broke his hand, and then needed to completely change his game plan and turn into a wrestler to get that done because he couldn't throw that hand anymore. He's taking on Michael Morales. This dude's a killer, an absolute killer, a freestyle wrestling national champion, a Muay Thai national champion, and in Ecuador, none of this in America, but still, I mean, these are fantastic credentials to have. His footwork is awesome. His forward pressure is great. He's got a nice jab, nice loose boxing stance, which is what allows him to work in and out so well. His takedowns are clean. They're mostly throws and trips, more so than traditional shots, like I mentioned Benoit does. He's coming off that knockout win over Adam Fugit, where he did have 2 takedowns. He didn't need his wrestling at all. This is going to be a really fun fight. We're going to find out how good Michael Morales actually is, right? He has all the credentials you could ever want from a prospect. He's done everything he's supposed to do at this point. He's 14-0. We've seen him dominate with wrestling. We've seen him dominate with striking. We know he has cardio, And he might need it here because Max is a real test for Michael. He's a pretty live underdog, but I do think Morales is going to get this done. I think the offensive wrestling is going to be the difference here, but we'll keep an eye on the bets. I haven't found anything I love. The money line's already juiced on Michael Morales, so we'll wait for some props to drop, see what we can find there. But Michael Morales, very, very good, very, very talented guy, and Max Griffin's getting a little up there in age, but he's a gamer, and we'll see if he uses that veteran savvy to squeak out a win. We have another female fight, 3 on this card. We have Ariana Lipski taking on Melissa Gatto. Ariana Lipski is a decent striker. She can grapple as well. The problem with her grappling, though, is that she needs to be the one in control. If she's on top, she's solid. But if she gets taken down, off her back, her grappling is almost non-existent. She does struggle, and she can be finished if she's the one that's taken down. She's coming off that solid win over JJ Aldrich, where honestly her hands look great, and so did the wrestling. That was a very, very nice win. Giving me a little bit of confidence in her coming into this fight because she is fighting Melissa Gatto, who is a grappler with very good BJJ. Her jiu-jitsu is actually best off of her back. She's the exact opposite of Ariana Lipski, which can be a gift or a curse, right? It helps her against heavy wrestlers, but it also gives her a false sense of confidence. And it just creates situations where she's losing rounds because she's on her back. She knows she's good off her back and just sort of camping out, hoping to make something happen. While she is primarily a grappler, she does have some technical striking, and she uses it well to set up offensive takedowns. Lipski looked great in her last fight, and that version of Ariana Lipski, the one in her last fight, can absolutely win here. The problem for me, though, is that in 4 of her 5 UFC losses, she was taken down and out-grappled, and that's exactly what can happen here. But I'm still going to go against that logic. I mean, it's very logical that Gatto's going to take her down. I'm going to go against the logic. I'm going to pick Lipski. Like, she looked so good against JJ Aldrich, and if she can get her hands going and stay tight on top after a takedown of her own, she can cruise through a decision. So Lipski's going to be the pick. I'm definitely not touching the money line, but this may be a plus 3.5 spot. If you don't know what that is, Bet Online allows you to buy points on the judges' scorecard. You buy 3.5 points. The way that math works out is if Ariana Lipski wins one single round on all 3 judges' scorecards, you get paid. If she wins the fight, of course you get paid, but she can lose a 29-28 across the board and you still get paid. It is a perfect bet for these super close fights where somebody's a heavy favorite. And Melissa Gatto right now is a pretty heavy favorite. So if we can get plus 3.5 on Ariana Lipski at like plus money or minus 120, I think it's a good bet. I think she can win at least one round, potentially even the entire fight. So if you don't have Bet Online, sign up now. Use our link at WeWantPicks.com/bets, and I'll send you $50 just as a thank you for using the link because they're going to pay us. It's affiliate marketing. But anyway, Ariana Lipski is the pick almost solely based off of her last performance. Melissa Gatto's long layoff here. But like I said, the 3.5 bet is probably what I will do to play it a little safer. And we have a very, very good co-main event. We have Damir Ismagulov taking on Grant Dawson. Damir Ismagulov is a terror. This guy is good everywhere. He has cardio to back it up. He's a smart fighter. He makes adjustments throughout the fight as well. He uses his length, his range for striking, and then he works in takedowns when he needs them. He has wins over Thiago Moises and Joel Alvarez where he showcased his dominant striking. And then he has wins like the ones over Alec Gorgies and Rafael Alves where he worked in his wrestling. He's very dominant, not a finisher at all. Guy's a decision machine. And he is coming off that loss to Arman Sarukian, where he did land well on his feet, but he was taken down 7 times. But that loss just aged a little better a few weeks ago. He's taking on Grant Dawson. He is a grappler. He averages almost 4 takedowns per fight. He has a great ground game with absolutely relentless pressure. He's got good technical striking, but his clear advantage in almost all fights is his wrestling and his grappling. He started his career at 145 pounds. He's moved up to lightweight a few fights ago, but he looks good. He doesn't seem undersized. He's showing up. He's not getting bullied. He's coming off that win over Olympic wrestler Mark Madsen, where he had takedowns and a ton of control. The easy narrative here is Damir just lost to a wrestler and Grant just beat an Olympic wrestler. I do think it's a little more complicated than that. Damir lost to Arman Sarukian. This guy's a relentless wrestler that could potentially be fighting for a belt or the actual champion within a year. Grant beat an Olympic wrestler, yes, but that Olympic wrestler is 38 years old and has been taken down by every single person who has tried to take him down in the UFC. I do think that Grant can win this fight. I love that Grant Dawson is a finisher. I still think Damir gets it done, though. I think it's going to be a razor-thin, close decision. But the fact that Damir is not dangerous at all is what's keeping me away from bets. If Damir was dangerous and was actually knocking people out, I'd be all over him. This line has collapsed on itself. This fight is tightening by the day. Potentially, this could flip to Grant being the favorite. I mean, this is an incredible matchup that should have some sort of title implications in the next year or so, depending on what happens after. But Damir's going to be the pick. I think he can defend some of the takedowns early. I think the gap on the feet is just light years. And while Grant Dawson's a very good wrestler, he's not Arman Tsarukyan. So Damir's going to be the pick. I think he gets it done. Main event of the evening. Very good main event, actually. We have Sean Strickland taking on Abus Magomedov. Sean Strickland is a blue-collar striker. He walks forward, throws a ton of punches. He's not particularly powerful or fast, but he does have volume at almost 6 significant strikes per minute. Fantastic takedown defense at 85%. He is coming off that decision win over Nasruddin Imavov, where he landed 182 significant strikes, and he had a takedown, which was a little out of character. He's taking on Abus Magomedov. He's a powerful and versatile striker with wrestling as a backup plan. Sneaky power, because it never looks like he's throwing big shots, but when he connects, people are definitely put out. He's a long striker who does a great job using that length to counter and keep people at the end of his strikes. He's going to throw everything from tight hooks to head kicks, and even though he can be a little bit hittable, he recognizes it. And when he's on the wrong end of some exchanges, he quickly shoots double legs. He's coming off the destruction of Dustin Stoltzfus, where he only needed 7 strikes to get that knockout. And this is a tough pick, because I am actually surprised to see that Sean Strickland is the minus 170 favorite. He should probably be the favorite, right? But he has a much higher level of competition. He's a proven entity at this point. But Abus is very good. He's very dangerous, and he can win multiple ways. If you think Sean Strickland can win with his typical just forward pressure, lots of volume, then he should be an easy pick for you. But I don't think Abus is just going to be hesitant or back up or allow Sean Strickland to just throw out a million punches. I think he's going to come in. He's going to bomb. I think Abus absolutely gets it done. But this could be a weird fight where Abus wins early, right? He's going to win the first round, even the second round, get the better of some of those exchanges, and then just the nonstop pressure from Sean's going to wear him down and take over. Sean Strickland is not a quitter. Abus is going to be the pick here. It's a low confidence pick. It's a very good main event. This is probably, remember I mentioned that plus 3.5 bet a few fights ago? This is probably a plus 5.5 bet where you buy 5.5 points on the judges' scorecard. The math is a little different, but essentially if Abus wins outright, you get paid. If he wins a close decision, you get paid as well. We'll see what those odds are when that drop. This is a really good main event. I'm looking forward to it. Depending on those odds again, I may do that plus 5.5, buy some points on the judges' scorecard, get me a little bit of a cushion there if Abus can win a round or two. And then even if Sean Strickland takes over, we'll get that done. Guys, that's the breakdown. Don't forget, I'll give you $50. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners using our link, make a deposit, and I send you $50. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay us. I'm going to shave off a piece of that and give it right back to you. We have all sorts of tools, information, everything you could ever need to get ready for the fights, right? We're giving you our picks, our bets. Some weeks are going to be better than others. That's the reality of it. But the actual tools themselves will be high quality week in and week out. We have the line movement tracker. This week, interesting movement because a couple of lines collapsed, a couple of lines exploded, but no fighters went from underdog to favorite. We're still waiting on the Bruno Ferreira and Nursulton Ruziboev line to drop. Once that does, that'll be added to the tracker as well. We have metrics, analytics, 38 columns of details and information that you can use to find your spots, make your bets, make your picks, build your lineup, etc. And we also have added courses. A lot of people here are new. Sports betting just became legal in your state. What the hell is DraftKings Fantasy? All of that is available to you as a premium member. You can walk through the courses. They're going to give you very basic, high-level information, then work their way to intermediate, advanced. It's a great place to start if you're new to all of this. Click on the More menu, and you'll see courses right there. We have added new analysts. We've had Artem here for a little while. Artem is breaking down UFC as well as non-UFC. He's giving you PFL, Bellator, LFA. He's giving you all the regional shows, his picks, his bets there. But we have just added the Pick Doctor. The Pick Doctor, quite literally, is a nuclear physicist who has developed an artificial intelligence that picks fights. That artificial intelligence just picked 11 out of 12 fights correct at UFC Jacksonville. It picked every single underdog correct. And it is up 10, almost 11 units if you bet the money line on every one of its picks. It is in beta. That is a beta product, but if you're a premium member, you have access to it. Follow the journey. I cannot stress enough, it is beta. It is still in development. We're still fine-tuning it, but the results so far have been absolutely spectacular. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month, and we give you the world.